Today, we are going to discuss the theory of value. First, we are going to briefly discuss the history of the value theories. Theory of value is the foundation of an economic theory. Like any other foundation, few researchers will pay attention to it. But a major shift in economic thinking often begins with a new understanding of value. Use value and exchange value. There is difference between use value and exchange value or economic value. Water is very useful, but it has little economic value most of the time. Diamond is not very useful, but its economic value or exchange value is very high. Labor theory of value. In labor theory, economic value comes from the amount of labor. The problem with labor theory value is that it is too narrow. Suppose there are two pieces of land. One is more fertile than the other. With the same amount of labor input, the fertile land will generate more output. The actual value from more fertile land is called rent. The concept of rent is widely used in economic theory, such as in rent seeking. But the need for rent to explain value makes the labor theory value too narrow. Labor forms part of the value, not all. Marginal utility theory of value. Jevons developed marginal utility theory of value in 1870s. It is modernized into Arrow-Debreu value theory. It is a standard theory of value today. It forms the core of general equilibrium theory. The problem is that it is based on topology. It doesn't provide a quantitative measure of value. There is scarcity theory of value. Walras commented that labor is too narrow, utility is too broad as value. He proposed value as a function of scarcity. We will develop an analytical theory of value based on scarcity. Scarcity theory of value and its relation with other theories. Scarcity and labor. A scarce material takes more effort and labor to obtain, on average. So scarcity theory and labor theory are consistent with each other. Scarcity and utility. A scarce material is hard to obtain. People will value scarce material more, and hence they have high utility. Gold is more scarce than silver, hence people will value gold more. Scarcity and entropy. In physics, entropy is a measure of scarcity or probability. The scarcity theory of value is naturally the entropy theory of value. There are many attractions for an entropy theory of value. First, entropy law is the most universal law of nature. Second, entropy flow drives the directional movements in the universe. We often say energy drives the world, but it is more precise to say that it is entropy flow that drives the movement of life and economy. Third, Shannon's entropy theory of information turns out to be a great success. Many people want to apply entropy theory to economics as well. There are some early attempts to explore the entropy theory of value. Georgescu-Roegen was one of them, but he thought two entities with the same level of entropy may have different economic value. So an entropy theory of value is not that useful. Indeed, an entropy theory of value doesn't explain everything about value, but it will explain a lot of important things very elegantly, as we will see. Similarly, Shannon's entropy theory of information doesn't explain everything about information, but it explains a lot of things about information very elegantly, as we have observed before. Arrow also explored the possibility of an entropy theory of value. He observed that Shannon's formula does not contain the weight, so it is not that useful in economics. The Shannon measure of information actually carries weight. More data carries more information. In physics, physical quantities are classified as intensive quantity and extensive quantity. Extensive quantity carries weight. Entropy is an extensive quantity, so entropy carries weight. Should we use entropy or energy to represent value? There has been energy theory of value. So why not just use energy theory of value? From physics, energy is constant. Entropy flow is a more precise concept for resource. As a result, entropy provides better mathematical formulas as value, just like in the entropy theory of information. Next, we are going to discuss the main properties of the scarcity theory of value. Value as a function of scarcity. Scarcity is represented by P, a variable between 0 and 1. 0 represents extreme scarcity. 1 represents extreme abundance. Value of any product should satisfy the following properties. First, the value of two products should be higher than the value of each of them. Second, if two products are independent, that is, if the two products are not substitutes or partial substitutes of each other, then the total value of the two products should be the sum of two products. Third, the value of any product is non-negative. The only mathematical formula that satisfies the three conditions before is the following log function. Here, P is scarcity and B is the number of producers. We can compare our theory with value of information in Shannon theory. In Shannon theory, it is also the log function. The only difference is that the base is 2. This is because information transmission is binary. The choice is either 0 or 1, but in our case, the choice can be several different companies. That's why In Shannon theory, the base is fixed at 2, and in our theory, base is a variable. Value and scarcity. This graph is drawn from the function of value. When the scarcity of a commodity approaches 1, the value of that commodity approaches to 0. When the scarcity of a commodity approaches to 0, its value approaches to infinity. In general, value is an increasing function of scarcity. In extreme abundance, when p is equal to 1, negative log p equal to 0. This means the value of a given commodity is equal to 0, even if that commodity is very useful. For example, food is essential for survival. Most countries subsidize food production in various ways to guarantee the abundance of food, which causes its low economic value. So economic value and social value are different. They can diverge. Value and the number of producers. With the increase of number of producers, the value of commodity declines. When the number of producers is small, the value of a product is high. The products of monopolies and oligopolies are valued highly. If the base becomes 1, that is, absolute monopoly without substitution, value approaches infinity. Governments have the monopoly on violence, legal decisions, taxations, and many other important issues. Democratic societies maintain multi-party system and elections. This is to reduce the power or the value of governments. Monarchy or one-party rule are more common in most of human history. Even in democratic societies, the power of governments as monopolies tend to grow over time. In many countries, education is mostly funded by the government. Students can only go to one school for their elementary and secondary education. This lack of choice in education for students greatly increased the power and hence the value of educators. The medical system in some countries, such as Canada, don't allow patients to choose doctors and the types of treatments they can have. Instead, patients can only go to see one doctor, who decides what treatment a patient can get and who the patient can see. With this monopoly over patients, doctors gain extraordinary power and hence enjoy high income. Number of gods in religions. Successful religions, such as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are monotheistic. Polytheistic religions, such as Buddhism, have difficulties withstanding the advance of monotheistic religions. Monotheism, with only one god, exercises much greater control over its believers than polytheism. The number of providers of most economic goods depends on many factors. Institutional structures affect market entry and the number of supplies for a given product. Antitrust regulations aim to prevent price fixing by existing providers of a service or product. They also intend to lower barriers to potential entry. By increasing the number of choices, both measures reduce the value of a product and hence the cost to consumers. The value of a product will in general be lower in a more competitive market. Patent rights and commercial secrets legislation, on the other hand, grant monopoly power and discourage the diffusion of knowledge. Patent rights and monopoly power allow the holders to maintain high product prices. Technology often progresses very fast during wartime when patent laws are often ignored. The quota system in trade policy forces the transfer of production technology from the dominant producer to other countries. Ultimately, the diffusion of technology and increase of the number of producers will reduce the value of the imported goods. This will benefit the importing countries over the long term, instead of the loss suggested in standard literature. Unions form a monopoly of bargaining. With only a single unit of bargaining, a trade union is in a much stronger position than individuals in bargaining with management. An example on airline valuation. On March 10, 2005, JETSCO, a Canadian airline, declared bankruptcy. There are three major operators in the air travel industry in Canada. They are Air Canada, WestJet, and JETSCO. There are regional carriers as well. Most of the profits of airlines come from regional routes where competition is not intense. For typical regional routes, there are 4 providers for the air travel service before JETSCO declared bankruptcy. The value of each airline can be represented as negative log 4p and negative log 3p before and after JETSCO declared bankruptcy. Here the base 4 and 3 represent the number of operators of airline companies. The change of value is therefore negative log 3p over negative log 4p minus 1 equal to log 34 minus 1 equal to 0.262. This means the increase of valuation is 26%. JETSCO declared bankruptcy at the evening of March 10, 2005, after the market closed. The closing price of stock of WestJet and Air Canada at March 10 and 11 are the following. The price change for the WestJet is 39.7% and the price change for Air Canada is 14.9%. The average change of stock price for Air Canada and WestJet is 27%. This is very close to the theoretical prediction of 26%. We have discussed the unit value of a product. Now we are going to discuss the total value of a product. Market size, product life cycle, and product value. Suppose the potential market size of a product is M. The percentage of people who already have the product is P. Then the unit value of this product is negative log P. Since the number of people who have bought the product is NP, the total value of the product is NP times negative log P. This graph shows the unit value and the total value of a product with respect to its abundance. Product life cycle. When a product is new and scarce, the unit value is high, its total value is low. As the production increases, the total value will increase as the unit value decreases. When the production quantity is over a certain level, however, the total value of product will start to decrease as well. For more information about the theoretical background and the applications of the value theory, please check out the following paper. Thank you.